Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, the Boss Lady, and I have my beautiful co-host,
The Diva.
the Diva, and joining us today is John T. Hooker, ComEd retired Executive Vice President, Legislative and Authority, and he has so many other things he has out more about. I'm glad to have you, John.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And our listeners, we for joining. So happy Saturday. Thank you for always tuning in and supporting us. It is
Father's Day weekend.
Happy Father's Day to all the wonderful fathers out there. We're going to just for John about his role and also what can he share to get our fathers to be better fathers if you are not father you feel that you should be. But there are some great ones out there. Also, the other thing, graduates, to the graduates of 2018. On my timeline, I have so many friends, family who has graduates graduating from elementary, high school, college. Congratulations. There are a lot of young people who exceed in life. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Karen's grades.
Yes.
All A's, during the whole year.
And Tanya's daughter. Grandparents as well. So, the Diva, what do we have going on? What's upcoming? Share that with our guests this morning.
Well, first of all, there will be no session for this month. We will return next month, third Saturday in July, and we're going to take the girls out on Chicago style. Okay, we're going to do some things downtown, probably visit a couple of museums, and have some lunch.
Great way to start off the summer.
We have, with Divas Inc., our new program, Traveling D. Now, Traveling D mission is to be Divas' passport to discovering the world in which we live in, to take us to places that we talk and dream and think about going. Its first adventure is in Ireland.
Oh.
Yes, Traveling D. This is a little stuffed animal that we have, and that stuffed animal is going to be our passport to going all over the world. And when he gets back, we will have pictures, and our girls will chart the travels, and we'll talk about all the places that this stuffed animal has ventured out to. So the animal is in Ireland right now.
Oh, how did they get there?
Yeah, tell us.
One of my coworkers.
All right.
Irishman.
Okay.
Agreed with his family to take in the dog. Like it's something like what do they call those the student that travels abroad.
Yeah.
Yes. So the dog is over in Ireland, and they're going to visit the Cliffs of Moher. Now the Cliffs of Moher is located south of the village of Doolin in Cold Creed, Ireland. So it's like this river that expands over 700 feet, stretching south for nearly 5 miles.
Oh, wow.
That's one of their attractions there. And the Bunratty Castle is going to. Now that Bunratty Castle, the most complete and authentic medieval castle in Ireland. It was a Viking training camp in the 970. So we'll see.
Okay, good stuff.
Traveling D has a Facebook page that will be up and running with pictures soon. If you would like to help us send Traveling D on new adventures, reach out to Divas Inc. via website, phone, or Facebook messengers. Our website is www.divas-inc.org. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We have to start. This is something that people of color have to start doing. We have to start valuing ourselves more and know our worth. We are shaped for greatness, and our lives has possibilities. We all have to realize that we are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. We have the ability to think, to reason, to talk, to walk, and to be creative. We must learn that we are valuable, we have merit, and we have something that we have to give and to offer in different life situations. Okay. We need to feed our spirit with positive thoughts and to know that we are someone worthwhile. I think that's very important nowadays because I'm seeing a lot of people who don't have self-worth. They're just out there.
I agree. I agree. I'm a person who wake up every morning very positive. My space, I keep very positive. I keep the negative out because there's so much going on in our world currently. As you stated, as we were talking on our ride in, that we're going backwards. They're in so many areas out here under the new administration, the number 45 in office, and he said, "Let's make America great again." But are we, with all the things that are going on in the news daily, nonstop affairs? And one of the things that I want to talk about is I was reading about the immigrants. 1,500 young boys are in a old Walmart warehouse that they have taken from their parents due to whatever number 45 and his administration is trying to do with the whole immigration, or calling themselves trying to fix it. But can you imagine these young men can only call their parents or make 2 calls a week? They have a pair of jeans. When I was reading the article, they have a couple of pair of underwear and things set up. They have the lights go out at 9 o'clock at night. They wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. The food that they are being fed is not really up to standard, but they want us to believe this is, and they had a nerve session, and his administration all talked about, was quoting scriptures from the Bible. I was just,
while they're holding these boys in captive.
Exactly.
Okay.
John, what is your thoughts?
Well, when you talk about making America great again, that means they want to make it white again. That means that they really feel that the white middle class and others feel that they haven't progressed, and that other minorities, black and other minorities, have begun to improve, and they don't feel they have. And to a degree, it hasn't done that well for them. But that's it's one of those try to catch up things. First of all, that's not immigration. The scriptures they're referring to mostly in Roman. But when you talk about all the other scriptures in the Bible, Romans just one piece and tell all of it.
Right.
So there's no separating children from their parents. America was opened the doors of America with the Statue of Liberty. Give us your downtrodden, give us your poor and whatnot. And what the new administration is doing is wrong. It's not right. And time will prove it that it won't last. That can't stand. But we have to do our part to make that work. Mm-hmm. And that's get off our rusty dusty and vote.
Yes. Ugly.
See, I told you this man right here, he gonna give it to you just like you asked for. He's gonna give it to you. We're gonna come back to our current topics. I have some important dates that we need to remember, and the first one being is, I have to say it, July 16th, 2018. Do you know what that day is?
Yes.
Tell me what that day is.
Your birthday.
It is my birthday. I will be included into the Golden Girls Club on that day. The Big 50 is coming up in about 30 days. 30 for 50, guys. Give me an applause.
That's great.
That's great. Yes. Yes. I know God has blessed me. And just a blessing to be able to say that I'll be turning 50 in 30 days. Who would have thought that?
That is a blessing. Yes.
The next important dates, June 28th, Teen Talk, Let's Talk About It. Divas Inc. has partnered with Public Library, the Richard M. Daley Library that's located at 733 North Kedzie. And I have been privileged to hold these talk sessions with the youth over in that community. We do Let's Talk About It from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. every second Thursday.
Now,
every other Thursday.
Now, I haven't had the privilege as of yet to join, but talking with the young people Are you allowing them to be open to express whatever they feel they need to express?
We talk about current topics,
Okay.
and they're able to express their views. There's no right or no wrong answers. It's about how they feel.
Good stuff.
It's about listening, because nowadays the youth feel like the older generation don't listen to them, don't listen to what they have to say. And true, sometimes it is true. We don't want to hear what they got to say. So,
John, how do we bridge the gap between the young and I'm not going to say old,
wiser,
or mature?
Well, what has happened is they feel left behind. Our generation opened certain doors for us, and we began to go through them, and we were pulled through some of it. The reason they're feeling left behind in a way is that, unfortunately, when we opened that door, we didn't stay there to help pull them through.
Good point.
So we own some of that. The more mature and older generation. So now it's not our fault. But we need to help. We need to reach back and help that. So we've got to do more listening, more pulling, and more pushing with them.
See, that's what this talk is all about. I sit there and I listen to them. Some of them are angry about certain things, but they don't have anyone to sit down and actually listen. Mm-hmm. Not, we have to learn how to listen, when to listen, and when to talk. And basically, I'm just sitting here listening to the kids while they do their talking.
Yeah, definitely ask them that question. I would love to hear their point of view of how to bridge that gap.
Interesting. Okay. July, you have something else?
Yes, I do. Years ago, I had an older preacher tell me one time that you need to learn the two things you really need to learn from young folks, and that is when to and when not to, who to and who not to.
Okay, explain, John.
So and it took me a while to understand what that meant and how that worked. And when I did, I began to use it, and I became more successful faster.
Got it.
So what you need to do is, there's a time for everything. So you need to know, is this the right time to do this? Or, am I saying this to the right person? So when you master those two things, other doors open for you. Success tends to be upward bound.
I agree with that.
Okay, so the next date on the list is July 21st, 2018, Divas Den again from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Divas Inc. monthly workshop from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. October 20th, 2018, the Pretty in Pink. This will be our 9th year doing the Pretty in Pink, I believe. The Pretty in Pink is about breast cancer survivors. This subject is very dear to me because my grandmother back in the late 70s was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she fought a fight. She did not give up until the very end. So every October, we have a dinner at the Crystal Sky Banquet Hall. Lovely place. The owner, George, is very nice and generous to us. The banquet is held from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and we honor all of the survivors. It's like 12 of them that come out every year. We honor all of the survivors. There's an award, the Rachel Rankin's Pretty in Pink Breast Cancer Award, very nice plaque. We have guest speakers. You get to enjoy dinner, and last year the entertainment was off the chain. I mean, we had. It was really nice. And everybody has on pink, and it's really, really pretty. So tickets are $50. They will start going on sale late August.
And it includes a sit-down dinner. And I will be your host for this event. And I was wondering, can I have a co-host this year? I think you would love my co-host. He actually has been on our show before.
I know who you're talking about. He's a survivor.
But don't say it.
I won't say who he is.
Once I get the go ahead, I'm gonna say, hey, I need you on this date. I think we will make a great team in hosting this event.
Great event. The attendees is like over 125 people. Study growing every year. We will be mentioning this periodically. You can visit our website again for more details. Last but not least, we always are preparing for our Christmas dinner at Deborah's Place, which will be the week of Christmas. What we do, we provide these ladies at Deborah's Place with a Christmas dinner, turkey, dressing, potato salad, ham, candy yams, macaroni and cheese. And we've had over 40 volunteers. We've also had different organizations that come in and help us out with this. Every year is growing and growing and growing, and these ladies welcome us with open arms.
Yes, it is such a pleasure to sit amongst them. Some of them don't have families. Some of them are excluded from their families. And they're trying to get their lives together. The fact that Deborah Place allows us to come in to show some love is just a amazing and a good time. And all the volunteers, we started out with 3 or 4 of us. How many years ago? About
8 years ago.
And it has grown. I mean, people are calling us in advance to get the date as to can they come out to volunteer to help. And if you are interested, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us if you want to volunteer. I mean, we take all kinds of donations. Your time is so important. And sometimes people don't know how to give back. You can definitely partner with Divas Inc. We are willing to open up our arms to you guys to have you come in to part of what we have going on throughout the year.
If you would like to be on our show or have ideas for our show, The Divas, then please contact us and we'll be more than welcome to sit down with you and talk about it. If you would like to make donations, you can go on our website, RA5013C operation, and all donations are tax deductible.
Awesome. If you're just tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com, I am your host, the Boss Lady, and my co-host,
The Diva.
And we have Mr. John T. Hooker, ComEd External Affairs. He's also the board chairperson for the Chicago Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. And we will be interviewing Mr. Hooker. I mean, he does some great things, I heard, and I'm excited to talk to him about that. But if you want to be a part of the Intellectual Radio family, you can call in to 708-223-8953 to speak with Earl, the other Winfrey, and his staff. If you're interested, our family is growing. We have something for everyone. Streaming live 24/7, talk radio. I mean, take out some time, check out the shows. It's a wonderful thing. We are going to take a break and we'll be right back with John T. Hooker.
When I think of all his goodness and all he's done for me, I just can't help but praise him. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. How he brought me out of darkness and how he set me free, I just can't help but praise him. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. He saved my soul. Yes, he did. Made me whole. Yes, he did. Heard my cry. Yes, he did. Gave eternal life. Yes, he did. So peace he did. Yes, he did. My soul he feels. Yes, he did. When I pray. Yes, he did. Oh, it makes a way. I can't help but give him glory. That's why I have to praise him. Won't let no rock cry up for me. No, because he's worthy, worthy to be praised. Because he's worthy to be praised. Oh, yes, he is. When I think of all his goodness and all he's done for me, I just can't help but praise him. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. He brought me out of darkness and how he set me free. I just can't help but praise it. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. He saved my soul. Yes, he did. Made me whole. Yes, he did. He heard my cry. Yes, he did. Gave eternal life. Yes, he did.
Welcome back to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your co-host,
The Diva.
The Diva. And we have, I want to call you Dr. John T. Hooker. I don't know if I'm speaking this into existence, but I tell you.
John, she has been saying this all morning. What we going to say to what the show going to be about with Dr. Hooker? And I'm like, Dr. Hooker?
Okay,
what?
Dr. John T. Hooker, ComEd retired executive vice president, legislative and external affairs. He's also the board chairperson for the Chicago Housing Authority. How are you this morning, John?
I'm excellent. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. So what I found interesting about your resume is all the things that you have done, that you are doing or are a part of in the city of Chicago. And working for ComEd and your role.
Can I tell you how? I want to tell you how he started and how he's just been an influence on me, because he didn't start at the top. He started at the bottom of the list and was determined to do something about that. But that's his story to tell. That's his story to tell. When you think about people, a lot of people think because people are in a position that it was just automatically given to you. No, you have to. And I tell my son all the time, you can't go for a job that's paying $40 or $50 when you only got that $10 experience.
Right.
You have to be able to give these people something for the money that they're going to pay you. And a lot of people now, a lot of these young people don't want to start at the very bottom. They don't want to start at the bottom. They want to come right into the door. Going up the ladder. Yeah, they don't want to be vice president. They want to go straight to president. They want someone to just, hey, I'm going to use my son because that's my son. Hey, James Wood, here you go. Let's do this. And it is not that you have to, most of the time you do have to crawl before you walk. Yeah. There's sometimes you could just walk into it, but most of the time you have to crawl before you walk. All right, I'm going to be quiet right now.
That's a rarity. You walk right in.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Hooker, Dr. Hooker, I'm speaking it into existence. So tell us about your role and your duties when you worked for ComEd.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've spent almost about 44 and a half years there.
Wow.
So, and then when I started in 1967, there were 13,000 employees, and I was number 13,000.
Interesting.
And I was making about $2.25 an hour. I won't forget that. When I left on March 1st of 12, we had 9,000 employees, and I was number 2.
That's some good stuff.
So I rose from the mailroom to the boardroom and helped making the decisions.
That sounds like a book. From the mailroom to the boardroom. We speaking all this and we gonna help you generate some more of that money from the mailroom to the boardroom.
So and it was a journey, and you learn a lot, and you learn you learn how to work with others, and you learn how to apply yourself and continue high school. I had to go to work. So as a result of that, so when I left, I was making over $400 an hour.
I want to say something. We do in Divas Inc. We do a session with our girls, Dress for Success.
Yes.
And we teach them. We do a whole presentation on how to dress for the job that you're seeking. And if I do recall a story, Dr. Hooker, I'm gonna go with Madeline on that because that sounds so good.
You all just don't like John?
Okay. So, John, I heard a story that during your experience in the mailroom, you always dress for success. You were always in a white shirt and maybe a tie.
Yes.
Every day. Every day that he came to work, regardless of his position, the mailroom clerk, he had on a shirt and a tie. So that's very important, and young people should know you cannot go for a job interview, or you cannot go to work with your pants hanging down.
No. And some would say to me I overdressed for the job that I had, and perhaps that's correct, but what I was doing was looking at the job I wanted.
Exactly. Yes.
He was looking in your future.
You're right. So that worked to my
It's
benefit. And it's right now, and somehow or another, we have got to get to our youth and let them know that all styles are not acceptable styles. And you can't go into an employment office with your pants hanging down and your hair not combed and call it the current style and want to be accepted. That's not going to happen. So, you can, like a friend of mine, I have several friends that own their company. And I had, in one of them, a young man came in and said, well, you're not supposed to have a dress code here. He said, but I do. In my company, I have a dress code, and I'm going to hire who fit that code. And you don't.
Yeah.
So goodbye.
He came into the interview saying, you're not supposed to have a dress. Okay.
We're going to run it.
Well, I tell you, I connect with a lot of our people in general in my current role that I do in the evenings. And just talking to our young men, because some of them, they don't do a drug test because it's a warehouse setting. So this is a new experience for me. And I always ask God, like, okay, how I end up here? But working with these young men, some of them have done time and they share their stories. And I say we should focus really on encouraging them. And that's what I do. I encourage throughout my time there. I started out right next to a lot of them on the line. And then they asked me to take on another position where I freely can walk around the warehouse and I can connect with people. And so I often try to encourage, people have a tendency to want to share our story. And that's what I think what we need to do more of. Even when our young men, whether it's having their pants sagging and things of that sort, having that positive thing to say, I think it's kind of helps them and not necessarily make them feel less than. Because I would comment to this young man all the time at work, like, man, we don't want to see your underwear. I'm telling, and he was like, I don't have a belt. Can you get me a belt or a string or whatever? That day I found him a string people are going through, or it's their first job and they have no clue or don't have anyone like us to have the programs or training, the necessary resources for our young people as well.
So when you told him, when you educated on dress, did he go get a belt?
He did. You know,
because when you know better, you're supposed to do better. Yes,
actually, his whole attitude has changed just connecting with him, to have open to have a conversation or a dialogue with him.
Because I believe in encourage. I will encourage you, but I'm also going to tell you, hey, get it together. This ain't what you're supposed to be doing. I'm going to encourage you too, but you know how I do. I'm going to tell him, hey, don't come back here without a belt. I done told you need a belt. I done gave you the resources. See, I believe in giving people the resources. And then, like I said, when you know better, you should do better.
You should.
We do have some that lack, but I don't want to be a crutch. I don't want to put the Band-Aid on and keep putting the Band-Aid on. I think society and our community, we need to just get to the root of the problem and stop covering it up with a Band-Aid. Get to the root of the problem. Take care of the issue. That sounds good in the real world, in the make-believe world, but I think it can't be done. Too much today, we pamper and consult and console when we actually should be telling them, this is how it goes. This is the way that it goes.
I will come back to that. John.
Yes.
Being a African-American Black man in corporate America, I mean, you became number 2 from starting out in the mailroom. What was your struggles to get there?
Well, the struggles were both Black and white. I came through in the mid-'60s when we were going through, desegregation and integration and all of that, and the war was going on. So what happened was, at that point in time, anybody that got a job, anybody black that got a job that wasn't just a bus driver they allowed us to get some of those jobs. And we were trying to get to be firemen and policemen and whatnot. But anytime you got another job, they looked at it as like it's affirmative action that got you here.
Got it. Yeah.
You came through affirmative action. So you're not as good as we are. We have to accept you for what you are. But when most times all of us were better than them. And we had to prove it and continue to show it day in and day out. So the struggles were not to get discouraged and walk away. And some of the challenges were continue to prepare yourself for better things ahead. And nothing was ever more true at that point in time than the little phrase, your attitude helps determine your altitude. And so those of us that came through at the time that had a pretty tough, tight attitude, some of the guys coming from Vietnam, didn't feel that they need to tolerate some of the nonsense that white folks with racist folks put you through. And they would pick at them just to get them fired. And I would try to talk to them because I was there and tell them, rather than do that, rather than let them hurt your feelings or put things on you don't really be doing, it's too personal, answer it, but then ask one back.
Oh, okay.
Ask a very personal question back.
Give them something to think about.
And then when they choose to not want to answer it, say, well, wait a minute, you just asked me a very personal question and I answered it. I'm asking you one and you choose not to answer it.
How can we, in this day and age, change? Is there a way to change others' way of thinking about us, or no? Or people are going to think what they think, and we have to find ways not to be discouraged and stay focused on our path.
That's it. I mean, what was true then is true now. We have to be a little bit better. It's a shame, but it's not what you want to hear all the time. But we have to go in there and work harder. I mean, we have to do better. I mean, here, I'll give you an experience. You asked me for some of the pitfalls. So I was in line for a promotion, a big promotion. And I was the first African-American timekeeper at ComEd at the time. This is a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
They didn't want to teach it to me. Now, I grew up in Lawndale. So I grew up on the west side. I didn't know too much about Caucasian white folks, I know a little bit about the Jewish guy that owned the store down there and the Irish priest that was at the church over there where we played ball, but I didn't know nothing about Lithuanians and Italians. I mean, that just wasn't part of what I was growing up with. So they didn't want to teach me the job. So what I decided I needed to do was I would work late. They went to the union and said, he can't work late. If he can't do the job in the regular time, then he's not in line for overtime. I wasn't getting overtime, but I had a 90-day trial. So they told me I couldn't do that. So I said, okay. I started taking the work home. Well, this was private company work. You can't do that. They'd go in and report me. Boss called me back in again. So I said, okay, now how can I get around this? I only got a few more days to learn this job on my own. So what I did was I decided to get to work a half an hour early, park my car in the first spot. I'd beat them at work. Then I would leave and go down, and I'd go to this little restaurant on Lexington and Cicero and eat. Every day I had a beef sandwich and a pop, and I would mark on down each one that left. And then I went back. And I worked a while, and lo and behold, they found that out. And how they find that out was, there was a janitor that they talked to. And he was Polish, and he didn't really know. They asked him, was I coming back? And he told him yes. So I figured it was him, and I just asked him, what was they paying him? And he felt bad. He told me they were paying him $5 every time I come back to tell him. So he said, but I'm sorry, I won't do it no more. I said, no, don't do that. You can let me pay you $10 not to tell him.
Smart man.
So it's those kind of things we had. You asked about what those kind of pitfalls that I had to deal with.
Because I have seen it. I have experienced it. I have dealt with it. And especially our men. Our men have dealt with it in corporate America. And it sucks. It really does. Because we have some people who are talented and have skills and can make a difference. But if you even show any inkling that you may be more skillful, can communicate better, educated, they on your back, one way or another.
That too. But then the higher you go, a lot of us sometimes forget where we came from.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And we don't reach back and help. I didn't have a problem doing that. And I didn't care what others thought about that. I chose to be fair across the board.
Yes.
And I chose to help as many Black folks as I can. And I think at the end of the day, when I looked in the mirror and saw me, I didn't have any regrets of those things that I did or championed for our people to help us.
Got it. We have a caller? Caller, thank you for tuning in to Divas. Hello, Mr. Hodges. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So, thank you for calling in. How can we help you? What you have?
I was just listening to the portion about how can we get through to young folks and unity and that kind of thing.
And your views are? This is a diva. Hi, Mr. Hodges. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's good to hear y'all doing y'all thing. It's great because we need this venue for our folks to hear what's necessary for us to change these conditions. But for me, it's one of those things where it's about us being able to know how sophisticated our young people are as far as hearing garbage. They're tired of hearing us say things and not have any plan for what it is we talk about. They're tired of hearing us say that, they're important, but they're seeing by our actions that they're not. They see how we spend our cash that they're not important. When we look at school systems that, administrators are rolling around in Benzes and our children are unable to even walk to school because they're afraid of the violence within our communities. And I think it's until Black men realize that it's incumbent upon us to realize unity and then bring that unity and security to our people. And we haven't done that. And that's something that I apologize to sisters, to our women, is that, now's the time for us to stand up and be the men that God wants us to be in, as far as being able to provide a comprehensive plan for our people. And we haven't been able to do that because we have I heard brothers speak in terms of the generation previous to ours and how, so many doors were opened up by the deaths and assassination of our leadership. But at the same time, we took it almost in a selfish mode in as far as trying to get ours. And I think our children see through that. And this generation is about there's a certain populism going on where people in the social environment are getting together on their social understandings and going at, whether it be Me Too, whether it be Black Lives Matter, it's one of those things that's coming. But I truly believe and know that God has something very special in store for the Black man, and that's why the NFL thing is so tough. So I just want to applaud you once again, and not really any questions, but I wanted to applaud y'all for being a part of the solution. And one of the things that we have to think about in the city of Chicago and the outlying suburbs is how are we going to get Rahm Emanuel out of office? Because I think that is, the city of Chicago is so critical, and it's time for a Black person to be in office again, because Harold Washington laid down the foundation for us, and we got to pick up that mantle again. So once again, I appreciate y'all. God bless y'all, and peace and blessings to you and your listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was retired NBA player, Chicago Bull, Craig Hodges. Thank you for calling in. Great points. Great points. And speaking of Rahm Emanuel, he appointed you to be back in 2015. What are your thoughts on Rahm?
Well, at the time, I mean, I was in corporate America, so public policies and stuff like that is not what I was, what I, excuse me, when I grew up on.
Okay.
So when he came and asked me after I retired, and he said we could use some of your knowledge and skill sets over at CHA to help develop it and make it. And at that time, I wasn't looking for another job. I just worked 44 and a half years. It was time I'm going to go offer back a second time and ask me. Then still was no. And then he came back the third time. He said, some of the folks I know said you would be the best person if you would really reconsider. So I thought about it, and I thought about giving back. And most of the folks in public housing is our folks. So I asked him, I said, well, then tell me your view on what you're looking for and what do you think about housing and where do you see this going? And then I said, then if it mirrors mine, I'm open to it. If it's not, then, we have to go separate ways. So he said, well, bricks and mortar is going to take care of itself. You guys are going to do some of that. But what we need to be looking at is how do we build people? How do we build communities? How do we build neighborhoods? Now that was opening to me, and I like doing that. So since I've been at CHA, those are some of the things that we've been a part of. And the structure of just putting low-income subsidized housing alone has not been in our plan, and it won't be as long as I'm there. So we're looking at how do you integrate housing? How do you take and say, I want to have low-income housing, some public housing, some market rate housing, and kind of put that together. But the days of the long, big high-rises is gone.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it served its purpose at the time. Yeah. I think it's great. Is there training that you guys do with the tenants and residents on how to, when they tore down the high rises and move people to various communities? Was there any type of training or preparing the people?
Adjustments.
Yes, there is. But I'm going to answer that. But let me just tell you, coming from the corporate side, what I really knew about public housing was the big high rise is in Section 8. Those are the two things I knew. And I've been in the city all my life. So come to find out, anytime you mention about Section 8, you would think about CHA.
Yeah.
Well, the city has a housing department that has Section 8. The county has a housing department that doing housing that has Section 8. And have housing for the Illinois Department, Illinois Department of Housing has a housing department. Okay, and then HUD had a housing department. So you got 5 different housing departments doing almost the same thing. And most folks only really know that of it as CHA as one.
Yes.
And that's not true. So what we're doing, so now to answer your question, we have a whole tenant service department that does training, assistance, and we're providing opportunities for college. So we're doing a whole lot of that. Now, what we also are doing is each development that deals with in the city, and that it usually has what they call Section 3. And these are low income and small businesses should get a piece of the job. And what we did was, since I've been there, we took some of those small businesses, and when I first got there was about $2 million in that. The first year we moved it to $12 million. Then we have what they call a JOC program, a job order contract, where you can specifically put contracts for small businesses to bid on, not the big ones. And we did that, and we spent over $80 million on that. So we're giving back, and we're trying to train and we're trying to provide opportunities for the residents.
You also sit on a board at Chicago State, and share some other things that you do in a community.
But anyway, at that time, I was on the foundation board at Chicago State, where we would continue to try to raise funds and provide opportunities for the students at Chicago State. In these last few years, I haven't been as active or on that board because I've been doing so many other things, and I'm trying to, believe it or not, I'm really trying to retire.
You trying to retire completely?
You said you're going to be 50 this year?
Yes.
I think that is great. In November, I'll be 70.
So you really trying to, you're really trying to. And I think that's great also,
Yes.
70 years. John,
Yes.
time is almost running out, but Father's Day is coming up. And I do know that you are a father. I do know that at one point you were a single parent.
Yes.
Raising a daughter.
Yes.
And at that time, trying to go to school, she's going to school. Tell us something about fatherhood,
yeah.
Real fatherhood.
Well, real fatherhood is not just having a child, it's raising it and taking care of that child. And the one thing before I get too deep in that is I have a big problem with men that don't support their children. And I have a problem. And I think these young ladies, you can get pregnant, you make these mistakes, but you need to make sure these guys provide child support. And we'll come back to that. But me as an individual, I raised a daughter. My first wife passed away early, and she was 18 months old. So I decided to keep her and raise her. She's doing very well today. The challenges was there. I ended up having to go. At one point, I was working 2 jobs and going to night school.
Wow.
And then being a single parent, the kind like the women, when I went out, I had to go get a babysitter to come in and babysit. So I didn't just have the opportunity to run the street in a way. And nor did I want to do that. And I was preparing for a better life. And God has been good to me. And I've tried to give back as much as I can. But, we've got too many men that's not stepping up to the plate of being fathers. Now, whose fault is that? When you look around, you could say it's just systemic. It's black folks this is what happened. Well, that's not what happened. We can do better than what we're doing. And the women can do a lot better also in making these young guys and these men do better. So we have to begin to take care of our children. And with Father's Day coming right around the corner, the meaning of just being a father is there's a difference between being a man, a parent, and a father. Now, you should be all 3 of them.
True.
But some folks don't get past 1 or 2 of them. And we need to do a much better job, because that's where the family is all broken up and begin to go different ways. And with little boys, it's hard to be what you don't see.
Agree.
Now, it's a little bit different with girls, and I can tell you because I happened to raise one, but 2. But I can tell you that I have been a little boy and I did come from a single family parent, so I know how that feels and how that worked. But it's hard to be, especially for little boys, and remember this, what they don't see. Now, when they see all this other stuff, they try to be it. When they see drug dealing, when they see wearing your pants down below.
Exactly. So
Right.
that's all they see. That's exactly what they're going
You
to
made a valid point there.
Yeah, definitely. Very valid point.
Well, we need to step up to the plate and take on the responsibility and provide for our children.
Good
Then you
stuff.
have some brothers ends. That's where it didn't begin there, but that's where it ends. There's no extras. And I'm saying because I hear a lot of this. They can't they'll get additional support because they think if I pay that child support, that's it. That's all. That's all you need. And basically, that's all you're gonna get.
Right. And there are those kind of guys. That's where you come from, being a man, a parent, and a father. So you have to be all three of them. And we're lacking too much of that, and we're absent too much. And, I know guys that has gotten divorces and whatnot, and sometimes, the women don't even let them see their kids.
Yes, and it needs to be a better, broken down in family structure.
Right, it needs to be a better coalition or coalescing of how we're going to do this.
Right. And understanding on both parts, the importance is the child, whether you are in that relationship or not in that relationship. The important thing is whatever happens affects your children. It's going to affect the kid. So when you think about, or those women who don't want, because they're not paying a certain amount of child support or whatever, that it affects that baby, and that baby will become a young man who is going to most likely become a father or a husband, and it affects them when you don't do your part, and that's both parties.
And I say all the time, you owe your children two things, in my opinion. You owe them the foundation of providing roots so they can grow, and you owe them wings so they can fly away, and so they don't have to stay living with you for the rest of their life.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a nice feeling when they do leave. I mean, you miss them and you check on them, but it is a nice feeling, especially when you have taken out the time to raise them correctly and give them some guidance, and they are doing well on their own, and you can sit back and enjoy
the fruits of your labor.
Yes, definitely. But I also want to say, those fathers who are doing what they should be doing or trying to do the best that they can, we definitely wish you a happy Father's Day, and keep doing what you're doing. And if there's something that you need help with or unsure of, reach out. And there's resources, there's organizations definitely that is geared toward fatherhood and trying to help you reach the necessary goals you're trying to with your children.
And don't wait on the female to do the right thing. You dad's rights, it just came on. You do the right thing. You step up to the plate and do the right thing. You can't see your child, then you take the next step. There's courts to provide that type of action for you. You just, don't just leave it as it is. You do the necessary.
And what young men need to know is that their children need them along the way. So it's just more than child support. They need the input. They need the parental guidance. They need the support. They need to getting together and working with them and whatnot. So they need that parental support all along the way.
Being a parent is not easy. Trust me, it is not easy. And parenting doesn't stop at 18. I see a lot of people say, oh, they're grown now. Parenting does not stop. It is a continual process.
Yes. Little kids, little expense, big kids, big expense.
Exactly. Well, we thank you, John, for coming in to sit in with us and talk about the things that you are doing and how you have impacted, Chicago Housing Authorities, as well as ComEd, and being an example, one of the examples in the community of trying to make a difference. And
well, I would like to just say, it takes a team effort.
Yeah.
But along with a team effort, I would have to say that it also takes leadership.
Yeah.
And I believe that I've done as well as I could to provide some of that leadership along the way. But over at the CHA, we have a great board. We have a great team, leaders and CEO, and provide a form of help provide a form of leadership. And that's what we have to do. And those of us that have made it a little bit better or a little further than some of the others, we have to continue to reach back and give back.
Well, I also want to touch on, and then we will be ending our session here. We always enjoy having our guests and being able to share with you. But with all the killings and our young women that's coming up missing in the city of Chicago on the west and the south side, please be careful. Watch over your children. Watch over each other. Just be safe out there. And whatever information you can share on social media, please do. And I appreciate those who always put things in my inbox, some things that I don't know that I can possibly share on our pages. Feel free to reach out to our Divas page, our Developing Intellectual Vision and Self page, as well as Vicki Travis Woods and myself, Madeline Ward Freeman page. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, the Boss Lady.
I am your co-host, the Diva. Feed your brain and get your mind right.
When I think of all his goodness and all he's done for me, I just can't help but praise him. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. How he brought me out of darkness and how he set me free, I just can't help but praise him. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. He saved my soul.